All rise.
Please be seated. Welcome. Now you are Unit 5, correct? All right. We're going to introduce ourselves to you first, and then we will ask you to introduce yourselves. I am Michael Simon.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici.
Hi, I'm Peter Bax, University of Portland.
For you.
I'm Brian Yee.
I'm Sierra Jose. I'm Olivia Wilk. I'm Abigail O'Brien. Our teacher is Portia Hall. Our coaches are Steve Bouchon, Erin Logison, Emily Wright, and Sarah Weston. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, and we're delighted to have you here. We are going to be asking you the question from Unit 5, and it's question number 2. I'll read the question, and then we look forward to your prepared remarks, and then we'll have some follow-up questions. So, the court has struggled to find a neutral course between the two religion clauses, both of which are cast in absolute terms, and either of which, if expanded to a logical extreme, would tend to clash with each other. That's a quote from a Supreme Court decision. Why has the court continued to struggle to find a neutral course? What basic values and principles have been in contention? Why might the two clauses, if expanded, clash with one another? And what criteria should be used to determine what religious practices should be protected and which practices the government may limit? Unit 5, the floor is yours.
The First Amendment states, Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Those two clauses protect the individual freedom that the framers valued most, the right to choose and practice religion free from government interference. But those two clauses clash if expanded to the logical extremes. If the government can make no law respecting religion, then it cannot protect free exercise rights. However, if the government makes laws protecting religion, it risks establishing religion. Because of this clash, the Supreme Court has struggled to chart a neutral course between the two clauses.
History has played a significant role in the court's interpretation of the religion clauses. In the town of Reese v. Galloway, the court held that the town's practice of starting board meetings with Christian prayers did not violate the Establishment Clause, because this country's legislative bodies, including Congress, have a long tradition of Christian prayer. In Lynch v. Donnelly, the court relied heavily on America's heritage of government-sanctioned religious displays to hold that a city's Christmas display did not violate the Establishment Clause. However, in each decision, the dissent explained that historical practices could not overcome the fact that official entanglement with a majority religion was exactly the type of religious chauvinism that the framers despised.
The idea that government should not be too involved with religion has also played a role. The three-part Lemon test illustrates this. A law must be secular in purpose, it may not inhibit or promote any religion, and it must not create excessive entanglement between government and religion. Even though the test seems clear, the court has disagreed on how to apply it. This is shown in the court's split decision in Edwards v. Aguilar, a case that held a Louisiana law requiring the teaching of creationism in public schools unconstitutional.
The court has been united on one principle. Government cannot be hostile to religion. In Church of Lukini Babalu I versus City of Hialeah, the court unanimously concluded that officials violated the nation's essential commitment to religious freedom by enacting a law that specifically targeted the Santeria practice of animal sacrifice.
The court frequently has changed its view about how much government has to do to accommodate religious practices. In 1878, the court upheld a polygamy ban in Reynolds v. United States, concluding that the Free Exercise Clause does not require government to grant religious exemptions to neutral laws of general applicability. However, in the 1960s and 70s, in Sherbert v. Verner and Wisconsin v. Yoder, the court held that Free Exercise Clause requires government to grant religious exemptions to neutral laws of general applicability unless the government proves a compelling interest for not doing so. Then in 1990, in Implement Division v. Smith, the court reverted to its approach it had taken in Reynolds.
In my view, the criteria identified in Lemon, Church of the King Babalu, and the other should be used to determine whether religious practices can be protected or limited. Government should not be able to enact laws that favor or target a particular religion. However, government should grant exemptions to neutral laws of general applicability that burden religious practice absent a compelling state interest for not doing so. Congress recognized that these are the correct criteria by enacting the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, also known as RFRA, to restore the Yoder test for determining whether religious exemptions are required.
I respectfully disagree. The Smith test is correct. Requiring religious exemptions makes it too difficult for the government to implement neutral laws. Burwell v. Hobby Lobby shows this. In that case, the court applied the RFRA and Yoder tests to conclude that an employer must be granted a religious exemption from the Affordable Care Act's requirement to provide insurance coverage for its employees. Now, Congress's intent that those employees have coverage has been thwarted, and other companies may claim similar exemptions, thus depriving the people of the benefit of the law. Thank you, and we are now ready for your questions.
Congresswoman Bonamici.
Thank you. So, Congressman Andre Carson just became the first Muslim American appointed to the House Intelligence Committee, an appointment that has caused some criticism. What's the best constitutional response to that criticism?
I believe that the best constitutional response to that criticism would be to disregard it. The fact that he is Muslim should not have any influence on his appointment to the Security Committee. He was appointed because he has earned the position and because he has proven to be the person most worthy for the job. And as shown in the First Amendment, which gives you the right to practice your religion, and the 14th Amendment, which establishes equal protection, it shows that he should be treated equally to any Christian, Jewish, or man or woman who practices any other religion.
I agree with my colleague. According to John Locke, all individuals are entitled to life, liberty, and property, and it is his individual liberty to freely exercise his religion, and additionally that complies with the First Amendment.
Thank you. Chris Pettis.
We've been talking a lot about the First Amendment and freedom of religion. I'm wondering how you represent the extent to which the First Amendment guarantees freedom from religion.
The First Amendment guarantees freedom from religion through the Establishment Clause, which restricts the government from imposing a national religion on the citizens of the United States.
There have been Supreme Court cases that concern the Establishment Clause. One such court case is Allegheny County versus ACLU. In this court case, the Allegheny County had a banner that promoted Christian religion. The banner stated that Jesus is King, and this clearly violated the Establishment Clause because the banner that promoted religion was in the City Hall, which is government property, and therefore violates the Establishment Clause.
Thank you very much.
You said that the purpose of the Establishment Clause is to prevent a national religion. Are there any other purposes of the Establishment Clause?
When the framers wrote the Constitution, they were fleeing to America to escape from the Church of England in the colonies. That's where they were fleeing to. And when they wrote the Establishment Clause, they hoped to prevent a tyrannical rule of any religion, as a tyrannical rule could result in not just the restriction of the ability to practice religion, it would result in restriction on freedoms that the religion might outlaw that many people would like.
Additionally, I believe that the Establishment Clause helps to have that separation between church and state. It's kind of a wall between those two.
Yes, in what ways is teaching about religion different from the teaching of religion? And should one of those be permitted? Why and why not?
In this case, determining this, we would apply the Lemon test. And according to the second prong, if it does not advance or inhibit the religion, it would pass, and therefore teaching religion would be okay in schools.
Across the world, religion has been a key aspect of historical conflicts and resolutions, the forming of nations and the dissolving of those nations. And it would be negligent to disregard religion when teaching history. So it is very important that you teach about the religions. You just must be careful, especially in public schools, to do so in a way that does not promote or advance or inhibit the religion.
Does the balance between the two clauses change at all when you are in the school setting?
The balance does change a little bit, as we talked about in the last question with the teaching of religion. You must be careful. However, there are many protections that are in place. Wallace v. Jaffrey said that you are not allowed to require the saying of a prayer in public schools, as that is the establishment of religion. And the Good News Club case said that you are allowed to have a Christian club in a public school, or any religious affiliated club in a public school, even though it is a non-religious setting. So people still are allowed to practice and express their religion. They're just not allowed to be forced to do so by the school.
Does the Establishment Clause prohibit a public high school from having a Christmas tree in the main office?
In this situation, we could once again apply the Lemon test and determine if it violates any of the three prongs. As my colleague stated, she stated the second prong, which is does it advance or inhibit religion. The other two prongs include the first prong, which is does your in your example with the Christmas tree have a secular purpose, and if it does have a secular
Does
purpose,
it?
I believe that it does have a secular purpose.
And what's that?
The Christmas tree is a symbol of the holiday spirit and doesn't represent any single religion. It represents the spirit of the holidays and the spirit of giving and the spirit of man.
What about a creche? Can they put a creche in the high school office?
Could you define a creche?
No. A nativity scene.
No, a nativity scene could not be put in the school office. The Allegheny County ACLU, which we mentioned earlier, shows this as it is government property. This is in contrast with Lynch v. Donnelly, as that was public property. This would go with Allegheny County.
So you mentioned in your opening comment something about the long tradition of Christian prayer opening a legislative body. Would it be all right for someone to offer a Muslim prayer to open for example, the opening session of the United States Congress?
Yes, I believe that would be entirely appropriate, as you cannot.
Why don't you finish your sentence?
As you cannot associate with only one religion, you can't distinguish between the two in preferentialness, as that would be establishing a religion.
Well, folks, you can take a big, deep breath because you did a terrific job. Let's give them a big round of applause.